have for you. So thank you for taking the time. I appreciate it.
Yeah. This is unique. I'm glad you did this. It was a great opportunity.
Yeah, I actually reached out to your opponent and asked him if he'd be willing to do the same. I'll be honest with you. I even asked him if he had a specific question that he'd like to formulate to ask for me to ask you. That way we can get a very direct and substantive answer. Now he did reply, and he said that he had he was eloquent with how he stated it, and he said that he had known you for decades and that he had nothing to ask. So hopefully, going into the future, perhaps if he sees this, I'll get the chance to sit down with him and ask him some questions about you and about his campaign, about his future, going into the future. So.
Well, I've got to say that this format is a good one because in a lot of the cases we don't get an opportunity to interact. I have tons of questions for him. I've got a bunch of them because I've been involved in the forums, and a lot of the forums aren't debates, so you don't get to ask questions back and forth. You just basically have a minute or a minute and a half to answer a question, and that's not the way things get solved. You're not going to solve anything in a minute or a minute and a half. And it really, I think for voters to be really informed that this kind of interaction is important, where you can ask questions, you can challenge questions, you can push back against questions. And I've got a lot of pushback against not only what he's done over the last 5 years and what he's not done. On affordable housing. He's talking now about how we should solve affordable housing, but there's been a super majority on the council for the last 5 years. So what have you done that you can point to that would solve some of these problems that we're talking about now as county executive? And I can point to a number of things that I've done over the last 4 years, 5 years, 10 years, in my roles where it hasn't been about talking about things. It's really been result oriented, and that's how you measure things. You measure things based on results and outcomes. And that's why I've never been a big goal setter. I don't like the word goal because a goal is something you throw out there and either you hit it or you don't. But a result, an outcome, you're always going to get an outcome. You're always going to get a result. It may not be the result you wanted, but you're going to get a result. And where are you? And if you don't get the result you want, what do you have to change in order to get to where you need to be? That's sort of my approach, is that we're going to get there. It's just how do we get there? What's the best way to get there? And from my perspective, the way you do that is you bring people in, you have an open mind. And I'm looking for better answers than I've got. If somebody's got a better answer, bring it. Has it been demonstrated? Has it worked? Okay. Has it been scaled? Let's do this thing. Let's make it happen. So, that's my approach is very different. And you don't get to communicate like this in a lot of those forums, and you don't get to communicate like this in a postcard. Instead, you get this negative, nonsense that they're sending out against me. And they're trying to say things that anybody that knows me, they'll just laugh at it. And actually they'll get frustrated because anybody that knows me, anybody that I've worked with, and it doesn't matter whether it's in public life as a former county council member, or in my private life, or in my coaching life, or in my church life, or in my business life, they know that I get engaged. I do what I say I'm going to do, and if I sort of believe in that old thing that when a handshake is all it takes, or your word is your bond, right? Your word is meaningful when you say something, and if you follow this campaign, you'd find that that's not a shared value of my opponent, and I've seen it. And I'll challenge him on all of these issues that he's talked about. And the idea of not being comfortable enough to say, okay, I made a mistake. I said that because I was pandering to somebody politically. Well, what do you really mean? You could ask me any question. I'll tell you what I mean. It's not going to change tomorrow. The only way it's going to change is if somebody brings a better idea, or somebody challenges my idea and pushes back on it and brings some, I'll change my ideas. But you'll know why I changed them. I changed it because I got new information. I think I can do it better this way. That's the way you move things forward. And that's the way our community is going to move forward. And that's what I'll do as county executive.